Just a quick reminder that the Compass Rose Excel Accelerator program is now open for applications starting in the enrollment for this cohort. So if you're ready to start 2024 on the right foot and strong, then please apply. If you are a residential assisted living owner and operator, or an independent senior living owner and operator, if you have been in business less than 2 years, or if you have 50% occupancy or less. So let's say you've been in business longer, but your occupancy can't hit over that 50% mark, then please send in your application. Let's have a conversation. The goal of the program is to help you accelerate as well as incubate, grow that little nest egg of yours that you have called your business, and then to accelerate it to 100% and beyond. So apply now. It's limited availability, and the next cohort will not start until March of next year. So why not start 2024 off on the right foot with the help and support that you need from our coaches, with the mentorship, trainings. We actually have an accelerator fund to help those who are starting out. So if you're interested, go to compassroseexcel.com.
In my mind, there's absolutely no difference between a business model of selling products and services to the business model of helping seniors. When a client calls you today and asks for help, you should realize and know that they're calling you. They probably needed your help 2 or 3 days ago, but for some reason they are calling you now. So drop everything and help them.
Hello, friends. Thank you for joining me on the Outlive Your Life podcast. My name is Tiffany, and I am a passionate advocate for the aging and those who support them. To outlive means to live through or to outlast something. And there is no better place to learn about life than in senior living. With each episode, I will introduce you to a resident whose wisdom, experience, and life impacted those around them, and the valuable lessons we can all learn from them. Then, I will share interviews from those who are striving to make an impact in the lives of older adults every single day. We will discuss the path which led them to their career, how it has changed them, and why they are so passionate about outliving their life. So be ready, be encouraged, and be transformed. Maybe, just maybe, you will discover a new career path working with the aging as well. Let's go. Welcome to Outlive Your Life. This is Al Bogocius. Do I say it right? I always call you Al B.
I know. Al B. Here's the thing. If you think about the Mary Poppins song, you'll never get my name wrong. You go supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Al Bogocius.
Al Bogocius.
You'll never get that wrong. And that goes with the storyline in 1964 when the movie Mary Poppins came out. And I was starting to chase girls at an old age of 11 years old. And all my buddies who were envious of my willingness to get out of my comfort zone made fun of that name. But today it's such a different name, and it certainly helps me get through the gatekeeper of when I make calls on companies, when they ask me to pronounce the name correctly. I just sing them the song and they say, "Where do you want to go?" And I get to go where I'm going.
You know, it's so funny you say that, because that makes you also memorable, right? Because now when people think of you, they think of Mary Poppins, they think of the song. What's the guy?
Well, I'm not the girl that holds the umbrella.
It's so funny. It's like when I used to go out, I'm like, what's your name? I'm like, Tiffany, like the jewelry store, and so that always helped when I was meeting with prospects to remember who I was. I shine like a diamond.
Wow.
I am so honored to have you, because you are such a pillar in this particular community of Jacksonville, Florida.
Thank you.
I think you're known as the mayor.
I'm going to start off because I want everyone else to know how great of a guy you are that I know. And so can you tell me just a little bit about who is Al? Al B.
Al B. Well, that was my name when I was a teacher in school. Mr. B. Mr. B. So Al B is certainly fine. Let me give you a story. It goes back to my high school teaching years. And the life lesson here is perception is reality.
Yeah.
And we all wake up every day with a clean slate. We got a clean slate. So now you're asking me who I am. And the answer is all about perception. And I'm in control of that perception. And there was an event back when I was a high school teacher, and you read some of the things. I chose the more rocky road with the more difficult kids and the gangsters, the Latin Kings, the incorrigibles, and was so grateful for that experience because it taught me kids who are disadvantaged, don't have a safety net, but can wake up every day and live through the day and have some success are really the smart people. They're the smart kids. They are the gifted kids. Somebody who has everything handed to them in a wonderful home, an Ozzie and Harriet situation, they don't have to worry about challenging themselves, whereas these kids do. So on that line, I was entrepreneurial as a teacher. I took on all kinds of extra hours, night school, working with the kids. And I worked with some incorrigibles in night school. And, I may be perceived as a nice guy, but I can be pretty tough. And I was tough on these kids, real tough, because I knew the tougher I was, the better off they were going to be. So I loved them dearly, and I gave them all my tough love. One of my kids I had at night school, I found out in the afternoon that he was in a car accident. And so I'm going to go up and see him. I went up to see him, see how he was doing. And one of my other students, who was a candy striper in the hospital where this other student was, saw me in the room. She ran back before school started that night and said, "Hey, if you don't do Mr. B's homework, he's going to put you in the hospital." So I never lived that down. And, it's one of the things we can do every day, because it doesn't matter who you think you are, what you think you are, what you're doing, how you're doing it. It's about how other people perceive what you're doing. If you live true to yourself and do the best you can, there's a definite reward there. I am my own walking, talking marketing plan. And I guess we all can do that. We can. Just by being true to ourselves.
Yes. Okay. And being good to others, right? Which you're known as being good to others.
And one of my advantages and disadvantages is I'm a very honest and honorable guy, and I'll say what I feel. I mean, not in a disrespectful way.
Sure.
But I'll be honest with my feelings. A guy by the name of Bart Jones, who was the president of the company that I had interviewed with, as I was transitioning from being a teacher, from which I think I reached my apex and I wanted to try something new. So I applied for this business position down by Grand Central on the 22nd floor of the Lincoln Building. And I was sitting there talking with the president of the company. And I looked him in the eyes and I said, I've been a teacher for several years, and I'm in this situation with an interview with the president of the company, and I feel a little intimidated. Just being honest. So the president of the company, gets up off his chair and he sits on the floor and he says, "Now, do you feel better?" And that life lesson that taught me is everybody is approachable. Okay. So I'm not afraid to go and talk to anybody. I mean, I've been in positions all through my career to challenge or to be challenged by buy something new.
Well, that is so cool. Well, let's get going about how you tripped into senior care, and
Okay.
what was that journey like for
Okay. It was a multifaceted transition. My father died in 94 at 61 years old. My mother, who wasn't working, and this was a time when pre-existing conditions were a negative when trying to get insurance.
you?
My mother couldn't get insurance after my father's ran out. I decided to fictitiously put my mother on my company's payroll, my company, the A&I Consulting Group. I made her an employee, didn't pay her a salary, but I paid for her benefits. So she got benefits, and shortly after my father's ran out, mine took over, and within a month or two, she came down with congestive heart failure and kidney cancer. And back then, the old-fashioned Blue Cross Blue Shield was the kind of insurance plan where if you had $3,000 of medicines, your copay was like $20. It was a wonderful thing. So the senior care began with taking care of my mother, all through the stages and the debilitation of having cancer, and to the end of her life. And spent a lot of money on bird seed to feed the squirrels and birds on her backyard as she sat there pretty much hospicing to the end of her life with me. So that was my first care recently. But going back, my real baptism by fire was my mother's brother, whose wife, and if you can imagine, the typical Italian woman, as tall as she is wide, kind of plump Italian woman. Well, she came down with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. And I took it upon myself, because my uncle and I were extremely close, to help him and help her in his caregiving process, and to see, and she lasted 11 years with ALS, which is unheard of.
That's unheard of.
Yeah. And, if you imagine somebody who's as wide as they are tall, and then the end stages where they needed a donut on the toilet so they don't fall in,
Right.
I saw it all. I saw it all to the very end till she died. And that was like monumental to me. So that was an easy transition to helping my mother to her end. And when I married Carol almost 20 years ago, every vacation that we had, we wound up going to Delray Beach from Connecticut. That's where her mom and dad lived. So we go down there, and we spent every vacation helping her mom and dad.
Gotcha.
And when her mom and dad reached 85, two particular situations in their health really manifested. And one, my father-in-law's eyes were really having a tough time. He had macular degeneration, a couple of fender benders, making a left turn, and lost his license. And my mother-in-law had neuropathy where she couldn't walk. And so Carol and I decided to move from Connecticut to Jacksonville, where her brother lived, and bring her parents up to North Florida, for which, people down in the South Florida think Jacksonville's part of South Georgia.
Right.
And it's not. It's a beautiful place. We love it, all that stuff. We got him up. We got him over to the Cove, and the River Garden really helped him. And I think because of that, we gave them 9.5 more years of life. Just as a kind of caveat, from my perception, the healthcare for seniors down in South Florida is more commoditized because there's so many seniors down there. You're not getting the kind of care that you might get up here. And that was our reason for moving them up there. So I was baptized by fire. What a great apprenticeship for senior care, actually getting your nails dirty, helping seniors. My business over the years was printing and packaging, which, as you know, the world has become digitized, and printing has lost a lot of revenue. And so my revenues were really becoming compressed. So I needed to make a change. And I I became of care of a home care agency, which was a startup, and that went belly up. And then I went in publishing with Our Senior's Guide, and then made the transition to Senior Advisors, working with Dave Steglitz. And Dave and I are good friends. The beauty of our friendship is that opposites attract. Okay. He's the gentleman of the place, he's very genteel, and I'm the little bull in the china shop. I don't break any china, but I do make a lot of noise. And so we both bounce off each other, and I think we do a good job for the community.
Exactly. What is Oasis?
Okay, Oasis Senior Advisors was started by a guy by the name of Tim Ivanovich, who started a maid service or a cleaning service, and he sold that and morphed into this business. So it's a franchise company, 85 different locations nationwide, and the business model is that you have the franchisees meeting up with seniors and their families, and they help find the right senior community. And the differential with Oasis is that we have a proprietary software program that interfaces all of the senior communities we have a contract for, and we put in the data, the information, the financial information of the senior, and those two components get interfaced, and out comes a matchmaking service of the communities that would fit the profile of the senior as well as their affordability for that particular community. And then the Oasis franchisees and their employees and 1099s, I'm a 1099 to Dave, we get a finder's fee from the community for finding them a new resident. Okay, it's like real estate.
Sure.
Just like real estate. I knew early on that I had a passion for this business. So I decided in my head that my business model would be anybody who calls me asking for help, my answer would always be yes.
Yes.
Whatever it was.
Yes.
And then I would circle back and find the resources. It may not necessarily be senior placement. It may be home care, VA benefits, anything that could help the senior in what's happening now. And I really dug deep in that business model during COVID-19 because nobody was out looking for places, nobody meeting each other, but everybody was calling. So I learned all the ancillary services that are out there strictly by looking for the answers. So I'm the go-to guy. I'm the go-to guy for seniors, and I think I've earned that badge only because I've dug deep and hard and got to know what's out there. And I'm getting calls all the time.
Yeah, and that's important, right? Because I think even working in a community, my first community that I worked with or a company, we had a tenant, a motto, a value proposition that's safely somewhere. No matter who calls you, your job was to make sure they were safe wherever they decided to go. And I think it goes along with what your values are talking about is really knowing, where and all the different things that can help a family. Because at the end of the day, while it may not be a direct impact to your particular business, it impacts your business directly. Meaning this is that people will say, go to Al, right? Or go to Tiffany or whatever. And that's why it's so important, I think, for people who are in the industry to know about other people and other services as an industry that can help families. Because it can be a little bit like navigating through a maze sometimes for families.
Going back to business, not to paste the Pollyanna label on me, but I certainly believe this thesis. No matter who you help and, what income level they are, and let's say they're all low income level and they're not going to net you any monetization for your efforts. I truly believe that everybody has a rich uncle or aunt, that they have somebody who has money. And when those people who have money know that you help one of their relatives, they're going to put you in their inner circle at their time of need. Sure. And that has happened over and over and over again. And I've done that particular thesis all through my business life. For your audience, I would say this: don't underestimate the power of helping a nonprofit, because a nonprofit survives by a good board of directors who have deep pockets. So if you're helping that nonprofit and the people who are boards of directors or board directors see that, and if they have a similar need for their company or their organization, they're going to be thinking of you because of how you care. And that goes back to what I always say. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think about one of my sales managers that I had
Oh,
privilege of working with. And a part of her marketing plan was to do an event to raise money for a nonprofit in her area every single month. And
that's good.
people gravitate because people want to help. And so it drew people to her community. It drew the community to have more awareness within the larger community. And she did all through Facebook too. And so it just drove shares and you know what I mean? And so it really drove her traffic, but it was also her heart, because she also had a nonprofit which helped bloodhounds to find missing people. And that was her passion, right? But she just, working in a nonprofit, targeted nonprofits as a part of her marketing plan. And it really went very, very well for her. So yeah, that's an absolutely golden piece of nugget right there.
And, I need to talk about you for a minute, because nobody knows this. Nobody knows this, but when I first met you at the Patient Care Council of the Orange Park Medical Center, and you got up there, it was like, holy mackerel, this one's a superstar. And just the way,
oh, you're so sweet.
you can tell the ones that are drinking the Kool-Aid and the ones that are for real. Okay. And you were for real. And everybody has an aura. Okay. And if you really connect with yourself and you're really sensitive about things, you can look at somebody and you can see their aura. And I saw your aura, and it was a good thing. It was a good thing.
Thank you.
And there's a term for people like you.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna embarrass me.
I mean, you could say people are go-getters and rah, but I like the term go-giver. Okay, you're out there, you're very aggressive about making things happen, but in the vein of making things happen, you are constantly giving. And if I had to sum up your legacy from all the years that I've known you, that's what I would call you. If I'm the mayor and I'm the connector, you're the go-giver. And just by doing all the things that you're doing now, you're go-giving back, and you're giving hope to people in the senior business that there's a way to do things better. There's a way of making a difference in seniors' lives that will also make your life better by being more productive on a daily basis and everything else. So that's my pitch to you.
Thank you.
That
You're
hook
so
up
sweet.
with
Thank
Tiffany.
You.
Yep.
That means so much to me. Oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, shut it down. Thank you so much. You never know how, and I think that's important even for my team, is you never know how you're going to impact other people. And so it's so important to connect with people on a one-to-one level, even if you're at whether a referral networking event or with a family, even those who contact you through Nation, through the lead bank, which we call a lead bank, right? But there are still ways that you can connect with those people. They reached out to you for a reason, and it is your obligation and your duty to reach back out to them on a continual basis. They may be in a place in their life where they can't absorb or think about what's happening to them in real time. And that's where nurturing is so important.
I am so honored and slightly embarrassed, really mostly embarrassed, but very honored to Al for his wonderful compliments about my work ethic and my mission. I do take working for aging adults and their families very seriously. That was fun and awkward, but very much a blessing. It means that I'm doing the right thing, right? And what it led me to think about is the Inspire Me wearables that you can order. You can actually pre-order. It is things like t-shirts that says, we love our residents. It is senior living is my jam. Half the proceeds go to the participants of the Compass Rose XL incubator/accelerator programs, the hybrid model that we have for new senior living owners, residential assisted living operators, and is designed to help give them money when they offer affordable senior living to aging adults and their families. It can pay for the community fee for them. The whole idea is to make senior living affordable for those who need it. If you want information about Inspire Me, go to my website. It is Compass Rose XL, or you can go to tiffanyhillallen.com and say, yes, I want one. And you can also reach out to me on any of our social media outlets and say, I want one. And that is for the t-shirts. The Inspire Me link will be on my social media profiles, as well as the Facebook page. If you go to Start With Occupancy on Facebook, you'll also see the link there.
How do you nurture your clients when they're reaching out to you but not ready to make a decision? How do you go about in doing that?
Okay, let me give you a little psychology. Everybody, I don't care what age they are, and this could be a question to you. Everybody has a mental age, a mental image of how old they really are, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm 67. Do you think I wake up every day and I'm 67? No. Hell no. Okay.
No.
Simple as that. And having a great relationship with my mom and my dad and Carol's mom and dad, especially Carol's mom and dad, because we were in their face almost every day. Mm-hmm. I know for a fact that Carol's dad was still cranking up the country music, driving that grocery truck down the highway and singing along. At 94 years old, he was still doing that. That was his mental image of who he was. Mm-hmm. Her mother was the queen of the ball. Okay. She never took off her crown. She was still the queen of the ball. Okay. Al is still that 17-year-old guy who's still he's still enthralled and just eyes wide open about the world around him. Okay. And I guess that'll stop when they finally put the paste on my eyes and call it a day. Okay. So everybody, and you too, you gotta answer that question to yourself. So how do you connect with the seniors? You connect with who they think they are inside themselves. Mm-hmm. Okay. Some seniors you talk to, and you're talking stuff going back to 1947, 1962, and me being a history buff and still remembering all the AMC and TV shows. I know all the lingo, and I could talk to them, and they feel so connected with me because I'm talking their language. So talk their language, find out where they are in their head, how old they really are. Mm-hmm. Because what you see on their paperwork, what age they are, isn't how old they are.
No.
Okay.
No, you're absolutely right. How many times have we had people that come in and says, I'm not like these people here?
Well, every person I bring into the senior community always says, what's this? All these old people? I don't belong here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? They all say that, and then they internally absorb that and find that it's a wonderful place. And you and I know that one of the best sales techniques is something called the puppy dog close. So you go and you invite a senior to a senior community, have lunch with some of the seniors, you stack the deck with the ambassadors that are there as a residents, and they get to sense what they would be missing if they didn't come here.
Right.
Okay. And that's a good thing. And that's all about getting out of their comfort zone.
Right.
Okay. We as the purveyors of senior living, helping seniors, have to get out of our own comfort zone.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
one of the really good questions you asked me to think about is, how does senior living compared pre-COVID-19 and where we are today?
Mm-hmm.
And dramatically, the answer is, we went into the senior profession because we like to connect, touch, hug, help seniors. And when we are placed in a situation where we have to social distance and not see and wear uncomfortable protection, it just damages our psyche.
Yeah. You're right.
So I would say to every senior living community, everybody who works with seniors, get together, form a meetup, and just talk about your feelings, because we're all going through the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be good for the senior. And too often people ignore that, and it's like pumping a well that's dry.
Yeah.
And that's why people get short-tempered. They don't carry through with helping the senior. The seniors feel that, hey, the best communication you could give is the one on how you make people feel. Sure. And if, the senior providers has the wall, they have the point of frustration about what's going on with COVID-19. That pervades back into the mind of the senior.
Sure.
And that's so upsetting to them.
Right.
Get out of your comfort zone, put the smiley face, go to the clown store and put a mask on, whatever you need to do, put a smiley face on.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there was a quote that I did, and I did a video on. It said, if your compassion does not include yourself, then it is incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't take care of yourself,
Right.
it's not going to be complete enough to take care of others, right? And
Right.
so you have to include yourself in that compassion. And there's so many different ways of interpreting that quote and how to execute on it. But that was one of the things that I just wanted to send out to all the very, very super compassionate people who's taking care of people, but they are so wearing themselves so thin that you're right. Then there's exasperation. There's all of these other things. There's depression. There's, feeling like there's no hope, and then that relates then to the person you're taking care of, because now they're feeling it, right? And so we have to be innovative in how we're reaching out, how we're connecting. And there's so many great people I see out there who are doing some really out of the box thinking when it comes to really putting that smile on the faces of their residents.
That is so true. And, I got to say this too, the spouses and the children of senior providers really have to hone up on their sensitivity to their loved ones out there working every day. I mean, it's totally different than any other kind of job.
Yeah.
It's wearing, and when you come home, somebody ought to put some flowers on the table for you or do something nice, so that they know and appreciate all that you're doing.
Sure.
Okay. So that's key. I mean, I see a lot of meetups where people just want to hang out and talk. And I think if it was a little bit more constructive, just to share some feelings and maybe have somebody, a leader, and you could do this. There's another segue to your stream of services. Form support groups for senior providers.
I think it's very much needed. I do think that that's needed. I see it a lot because I guess I deal with people all over the country, getting people to understand that and to really, those people who have had to be in that overprotective mode, their rate of work and emotional spillage is a lot greater. And so some people, again, what you talked about is having that empathy, understanding what others are going through and putting your feet in that person's place is so important instead of judging. Being an empath already, I was already sensitive to it when it was in Italy and I saw that it could come here, you know what I mean? But then to have it happen to you, it heightens it up even more. And, so over and over again, you see where this has really impacted people's lives. And even, we're not even talking about death.
Yep. I feel very honored that I had a chance to talk to you. You and I have been friends for a long time. We both have the same mantras in our practices and in helping others, whether it's senior or otherwise. And this has been a really good experience for me. I would say this, that if anybody wants to communicate with me, they're more than welcome to. I think we're placed on earth for two specific reasons, okay? And I want to cut through all the dynamics of whatever religion you are and distill it down into two statements. One, we're here to use our skills and abilities to the best we can, okay? For me, it's my God-given abilities, and I want to use them to the best that I can. Whatever I got, I want to use them to the best. The second part of why we're here is we want to make a difference in this world so that our life really matters. And I think that's not egotistical. That's saying that you were given a gift to be here. And the most important thing you can do is give a gift back for doing so. So I think life is really precious. And I think the best gift is to leave a legacy behind that has helped others or that will help others. So you're doing that. You're doing that up to the wazoo.
I hope so.
You are.
That's my mission, right? I mean, I hope so. You hit the nail right on the head of religion, because most religions have some sort of basis of that same foundation of impacting others so that you can, bettering yourself too, so you can impact others as well.
Right. Well, I'm going to believe in can do, and whatever I could do to make a difference for my life meaning something is the heart of my religion.
Right. So what would you say lights you up working with the aging? I mean, there's so many different things that you could easily pull out of you just in this conversation. But if you was to say this one thing is what lights me up working with the aging, what would that be?
Let me give you an analogy if I can. Take yourself into Disney World probably about 10 years ago. Ever been to Epcot?
Oh, yes. Love it.
You would go around the countries, and I believe it was Denmark, and you walk up these stairs, and they got the pictures of the oil rigs and all this wonderful stuff, the gnomes from up north, and you get on this log. And it goes around water, and you go down the flume. Does that make sense? Okay. That's what life is all about. We all climb up, we get to the top, we get in that log, and down we go. Okay. We all become a senior if we're lucky.
Right.
So what excites me about working with seniors is I get to go for a ride with them. Yes. I get to go for a ride during their lifetime.
Yes.
I get to experience this with them, good, bad, and ugly, because you know what? I'm going on the same flume ride someday. Okay.
We're all on it, right?
So,
And that's why it's so interesting to call it aging. Like I have like transitioned instead of just, I mean, so much of it, so people understand, so senior, but it's a process, isn't it? Like we're all aging. And to go on that journey of aging with somebody else is amazing to me.
It is, you know, and the guy who developed the bell curve should get a Nobel Peace Prize, because the bell curve comes up, goes to an apex, and slides back down, and you wind up in the same place, but a little bit farther away from whence you started.
Yeah.
And it's a joy. It's a joy to connect with these seniors because they're walking history books.
Absolutely.
They got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I wrote something yesterday about why seniors are so trusting, and they had a picture of a woman with her credit card on the phone. You know, so unfortunate that people use and abuse seniors financially, and that's sad. And it
is.
It's all predicated on a section of the brain that becomes a little bit dim compared to younger people, and they don't pick up the cues of the face or the speech to say, well, this doesn't sound right, or they don't look right. That tends to be missing as you age. I think to some degree, we're all born caregivers. That extends way beyond the nuclear family. And I think it excites me just to help somebody on their journey. And if there is some caveat that's going on that's negative, I'm happy to help them with that. I have a proverbial baseball bat hidden in my back pocket for anybody who gives a senior a hard time.
Yes.
And you do too.
Yes.
I know you do. You know, it excites me to be mentored by seniors with all their wealth of experience. I think just hanging around the older senior citizens and learning from them make you a better person. And adds to your own skill sets and armor and anything else to help you through the longevity of your own life.
Absolutely. Well, that's why Outlive Your Life exists, right? Is to really shine the light on a particular resident who I know impacted my life, and getting stories of those who impacted other people's life. And so I do believe that. Absolutely. You know, there's something I was thinking about as you were talking, is because some people think, well, I couldn't do that, or I'm not used to working with people who are aging, and they're professionals, like how you were. You owned your own company, you worked in advertising, you was a teacher. How did you take those skills, and how does it relate to what you need in the senior care industry? Because a lot of people who are professionals, you know, I sell software. Is there a place in healthcare for me? And they don't realize that it's not just the actual act of caring in terms of the clinical side, that there's an actual business side of it. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. There is, in my mind, there's absolutely no difference between a business model of selling products and services to the business model of helping seniors. When a client calls you today and asks for help, you should realize and know that they're calling you. They probably needed your help 2 or 3 days ago, but for some reason they are calling you now. So drop everything and help them. Okay. Your job in business, and your only job in business, from my mindset, is to make your customer's life easier. When you make your customer's life easier, guess what? The phone always rings because you're the go-to person that makes their life easier. Who else would they want to call?
Right. You're right.
Right. So can you see the parallel here? So working with seniors, you're making your customer's life easier. Okay. The cool thing about seniors is, holy mackerel, they really appreciate what you do. They really appreciate, you know, they really appreciate what you do. You know, I hate to tell you, when I come home and I got some lipstick on my collar and I got to complain, honey, that's purple lipstick. That's from the old lady. who hugged me today. That's so exciting when you get a guy, an old veteran, and you're talking up stories. And I was in the Marines and I know history and I can connect with them. And they wind up saying, I'm so glad I talked to you. And they give you a big hug.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Doesn't get any better than that.
It is like everyday validation.
So,
you're doing a good job.
Did that answer your question?
Yes.
You're doing the same thing you do in business. You're making your customers' life easier, whether you're selling products, services, or helping seniors.
Right.
And it's so rewarding that in the senior sector, your customers give you such positive feedback that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that you want to do it more.
Right. You become addicted to it, to helping more. You're like, oh, I did this one. Who else can I get? Who else can I help? Some form or fashion.
I want to say something that's outside of what we talked about, but it's probably the best advice for anybody scratching their head and thinking, what do I get my clients for a holiday gift? Okay. I'm going to tell you the one and only gift you should get, and you'll be the most remembered vendor in your industry. It's very simple. You want to go to your favorite nonprofit and you want to give them a boatload of money. Don't be spending crap on popcorn tins and cheese platters and stuff like that, because if you were a fly on the wall, a couple people take a couple pieces and then next thing you know, it goes in the trash can and everybody forgets you. So what you want to do is go to your favorite nonprofit and say, hey, here's a big check. Here's my donation. What I want you to do is I want you to send a letter to my client, Tiffany Allen, and say, dear Tiffany, I'm so glad you're working with Al and you give him business because he took some of the money that you gave him and he made a donation to our nonprofit in your honor, Tiffany.
Wow.
Okay. And you know what happens to that? That letter gets put up in the employee room in the cork board or the news board. And now it's like March into the next year and nobody took it down and everybody's still reading how wonderful of how you were in transferring some of the money you earned from a customer to the nonprofit. Who wouldn't want to do business with you?
Right.
Okay. All right. I have done that on several occasions and I have volunteered at homeless shelters. And I'll tell you, everybody's got to get this perception of what a homeless person is out of their minds. I'll give you one specific example. When I was up in Connecticut, I was at the Norwalk homeless shelter. I befriended a guy and we sat and talked. He was a structural engineer working for Sikorsky Aircraft in Stratford, Connecticut. Buku money, et cetera, et cetera. His wife woke up one day and said, you know what? I'm out of here. So she took the furniture, took the bank accounts, and bolted. And this guy is left with nothing.
Oh my God.
And it blew his psyche. He lost it. And he wound up in a homeless shelter. Okay? And I think it's a good experience for everybody to pick a person, especially for the holiday season, and say, this is the person that I'm going to devote some time to in the holiday season. And I'm telling you, it'll make you a better person once you understand what this person went through, because God forbid, it can happen to anybody.
Yes.
It can happen to anybody.
No, you're absolutely right.
I
was just thinking of a former resident. As a matter of fact, this morning, I was just thinking about him because you talked a little bit earlier about mental health. And, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but basically, I know depression exists, but to the point that somebody would need to go into senior living or assisted living. And nobody knew what was wrong with him there. The doctors, they were trying to figure out why couldn't he get out of, like, what physically, because he hurt his back. So they were like trying to figure it out, and they were like, we don't know, we can't figure it out. And an event happened 3 years later that all of a sudden it snapped and it triggered. It was so incredible because he got up out of his room, shaved himself for the first time probably in 3 years.
Wow.
Cut his hair, washed his hair, put on his own clothes. He showed up in the dining room at the community. Nobody knew who he was.
Right. He was a totally different person.
He would not get out the room. So something triggered something in him that he never had before, which was this severe, chronic, massive depression. And I think it was his sister who passed away, who I think it just woke him up like, oh my God, maybe that could happen to me. I'm not ready to go yet. I better get my stuff together. Let me just get myself together. And through, I guess, other counseling and stuff, but he ended up moving out, going back to his condo and everything. But, it was one of those great stories of someone who's going down and they triumph, because a lot of times people think senior living in a community is forever. And for some people that might be, but for other people, it could just be a stopover, you know what I mean? And what you said was so important, because you're right that you don't know what can trigger somebody to have some type of mental breakdown and put them in a situation of being homeless. And I think that's great advice, especially going into the holiday season.
Yeah, it's a good thing to do. And I think with my personal experience of having 2 bouts with cancer and having, at an earlier time in my life, having 3 heart attacks, certainly paved the way for realizing that life is precious. Life is precious. And there's a lot of sons out there, and we see on Facebook talking about their mom dying. And I know for a guy, I could speak wholeheartedly that a son's mortality is really defined by when their mother dies. Okay, because that was his first home. His first home was his mother. And so that's a total disconnect to life upon itself. But I am grateful to say that I have 6 grandchildren.
Nice.
And I got one little guy who is exactly like me. And he's pulling the same stuff on his mother, my daughter, as I did on my mother. And it is just a fun thing to see that there's a little piece of me, my immortality, will keep going. And some almost 40-year-old woman is going to have gray hair sooner than she needs to, thanks to a few strands of DNA from me.
So what I would like to say is that if you could speak to your freshman college self.
Oh, boy.
In closing.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good thing. And if you ever want to investigate what I look like as a freshman in college, all you got to go is my Facebook. I did a posting when I was just about ready to go into college. You could see what I look like, which were long hair and the whole 9 yards. Weird. But I would say to my freshman self, this would be to all the freshmen out there. Okay. Spend more time connecting with your inner self and stop looking for relationships and experiences to self-medicate yourself in those early years. Too often, we spend so much time working on or trying to get into relationships and experiences that really run interference for the natural progression of us really connecting with our inner self. People can sit on their rocking chair and say, yeah, I went here, I went there, I did this cruise, I did that cruise, I did this, I did that. But did you take the ultimate trip and really connect with who you really are? Too often we're too busy doing all this stuff and not really connecting with ourselves. And I do it on a daily basis, and I wanted to set the record straight that when I get up and I ride my bike every day and I take those pictures and I write the nonsense that I write, I'm really connecting with myself. There's nobody around. I'm not writing this stuff for anybody else except me because I'm enjoying myself. I got the me time to myself. I'm just enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
And I pull things and I see things and I write things and I connect things. Yesterday, I had this picture of the sunrise and I kind of fooled around with the camera, and it was the sunrise and the sun reflection on a pond and the trees looked all kinds of weird. And I said, those who connect with their eternal light, and I don't mean religiously, I just mean their eternal light,
Sure.
they'll have an unlimited supply of offering rays of hope and devotion to others. Okay, so that's really a precursor to a good senior provider caregiver, is to always replenish and focus on your eternal light that's inside you, make that connection, and you'll have plenty of give for other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. Really great words of wisdom. And when I think about you, I think that is how you would be known as a person who outlived their life.
Well, with the bouts of cancers and the heart attacks, the Grim Reaper was, within the social distance of 6 feet. Okay. But I beat him the 5 times. And I think that gives me a reflective view of life that while I'm here, just make the best of it.
Right.
Make it better for somebody else.
Right.
Okay. We're all going down that flume the same way. And we might as well throw our arms at it and just scream out the joy.
Enjoy the ride.
Okay.
Enjoy the ride. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
This time. I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule of helping.
Hey, I wouldn't miss this for the world. You are one special person, and too often we don't realize the magnification we have in this world, and you have a huge one. So just know that I'm only one of many, many, many people who feel the same way about you, and that should motivate you to keep doing what you're doing, because inadvertently you're making a difference. All right. Well, thank you for your time.
And thank you so much.
All right. Okay.
Thank you for listening to Outlive Your Life. My hope is the podcast will inspire and touch your life in some way while giving you a small glimpse of the benefits of working in senior care. If any of the podcasts resonated with you, please, number one, if you don't mind, just subscribe to the podcast so you'll be notified of future episodes. The second thing I'd love for you to do is to share it with others that you know so that we can grow our audience. And if it truly resonated with your heart, please leave a positive review so others can see why. And I read each and every one of them, so I'm very, very grateful for any time you take out of your busy schedule to do so. And if you're curious about careers or business opportunities in senior care or senior living, please be sure to contact me at tiffanyhillallen.com. Thanks. Until next time, find new ways to outlive your life.